Welcome back to another episode of Student of the Game. I'm excited today. I'm with my guy, Dustin McKibben, Art Home Photo. Welcome to the podcast, Dustin.
Hey, thanks for having me, Brad.
I know we've been trying to do this a long time, but your business is blowing up and you're busy and we're all just trying to, keep one foot in front of the other. But I'm really interested to talk to you today. I kind of gave you the background of this podcast, and it's all about mastering the fundamentals, falling in love with practice, and winning at the game of life. And you do a lot of work for us. But
Wow.
I know you're well talented, so I want to hear what all do you do? What does Art Home Photo do? And how'd you get started?
So we get the question a lot that, oh, you're just another real estate photographer. How much competition do you have in your market? And I always say we have no competition in our market because there are quite a few real estate photographers, but we are the only real estate marketing company. That is our brand position. We like to come alongside realtors because many realtors treat listing photos as just sort of the same as getting your carpet cleaned. They can plug and play, and we like to come alongside our real estate professionals and treat them like family, treat them like friends, and really dive into their business and figure out how to help grow their business versus just taking the next photo.
How'd you get started? Like, I remember you telling me one time, like, you've actually been trained in this and you went to school, for it. What's been your background?
hmm So yeah, I went to college up in New York for photography and used to DJ weddings back in high school, and just kind of fell into shooting weddings to pay for college. For a high volume wedding studio in New York, we were shooting every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'd shoot like 300 weddings a year, and where I could like close my eyes and like shoot a wedding and do amazing. And then fast forward, kind of similar season of like you had, where you start to have kids, and wedding photography is just not a very sustainable business when you have children, because at first it's great because you're only working on weekends. And then all of a sudden you see, oh, I'm going to miss that ballet performance. Oh, I'm not going to make it to that T-ball game. And I started dabbling in real estate photography as just kind of a side thing. And I started running the numbers, working on the metrics of like, how could I make this something more than just this helps pay for groceries? And I started talking to some people and really just made an effort. And then COVID kicked my butt into like, hey, what if all of your weddings cancel? What does that look like for you? And I was like, that does not look good. And so
Mm,
I threw everything I had that I would normally put behind marketing and getting brides and getting events and getting portraits into how can I get more houses? How can I build more relationships with realtors to show them that I want to help grow their business? And by doing that, grow my business. And by doing so, we started shooting like 5 houses a day, 10 houses a day, 20 houses a day, and it just kept growing and growing. And next thing I knew, I was like, if I don't want to get divorced, I need to build a team and bring on some people to help me so that I can put my kids to bed at night. And so it was kind of interesting. We went from one end of the spectrum of just doing 1 house a day to now I'm like, okay, I'm drowning in work. I need to start, systematizing, getting help, building it out.
that's awesome because I think, most of these listeners are on the podcast are small business owners. They're salespeople, they're small business owners, they're people who want to start a business. And if you're listening right now, our goal is never to bring you people that are successful and talk about the success that they're having, because that's not real life. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
this is like, what's the lead up? What's the glow up? What are the challenges and the struggles? Because then it makes Dustin real. When we talk about Dustin's challenges, it makes Dustin real. When we say, oh, he's shooting 20, 30, 50 homes a day and has this big team, without talking about the challenges or the sacrifices, we're not doing a service to the listener, to you, the listener. So as we go from the intro to, you're trained in this, you've done weddings, you've done, probably grad pictures, you've done all these homes now and videos, and you said you're a marketing company. I can go back and I can tell you almost exactly the home that we met in, where you started giving me some ideas. And as one of the top producers in the market, that's new for me. Like, not a lot of people come to me and tell me how to run my business better. And that's something that I appreciate. One of our core values is grow constantly. And the fact that you came to me and you said, hey, what if you tried this? What if you did this? And you pushed me. And I think all people who want to grow their business and all people that want to be successful have that growth mindset. And you were that person for me. And
Oh,
you really started encouraging me. And so I'm going to send you some flowers early here in the podcast. And I'm going to tell you that it's because of you that you really got us going on marketing as a whole. We've always taken professional photos. One of our standards is we always take professional photos. We'll get into this a little later. I want to hear some of your stories about iPhone pics and some of the things that you've seen that are really bad in the market. But to be successful in this, we just talked off camera and we talked about the E-myth, and the E-myth is the entrepreneurial myth. And this is probably where you're at. If you're listening right now, this is probably where you're at. Most entrepreneurs, most people start a business because they're a technician. They're good at something. They're good on computers. They work at a computer shop, and now they want to go start their own business because they want to make more money and have more freedom and flexibility. What they don't understand is how to run the business. They don't understand the marketing, the accounting, the bookkeeping, the management, the leadership, all the things that go into it. I want to talk about what are the fundamentals to being fantastic at what you do. In order to put together the team of people and the quality of work that you do, what are the fundamentals to being great in your space?
well, I would even argue with us personally, our business, when I stepped into this space and tried to figure out how do we stand out? How do we be different? And I just wanted to lean in to what I was good at. And many people will say, well, that's obvious, Dustin. I know the answer to that question. You're good at taking pictures or you're good at taking video. And I would argue absolutely not. Like when I went to college, like I was probably the least talented photographer at that school. And what I learned quickly was what I was good at is building relationships and just loving on people. And so I would just attach myself to people who were far more talented and knew far more than I did. And so my roommate in college was the top photographer in school. And so if I was just like, hey, can I bring you lunch today? I'd love to learn why you're doing this the way you're doing it. So same with wedding photography. I was taking out the top wedding photographers out for dinner, learning how are you doing this? How are you building this business? And with real estate, I wanted my mission to be not how can I provide the best photography? I think that is a standard for us. It's more like how can I love on you more than anyone else? How can I care about you and your business more than anyone else? And I tell everyone on our team, if someone out cares us, then we've failed. I want every realtor
Mm-hmm.
when they think about us to be like, dang, like they cared not just about me, but they cared about my client. When they came into our home, my client's home, like they felt like they were an extension of our business, and they actually reflect and shined what I want for my client. So that's always our goal. So think about Chick-fil-A. When you go to Chick-fil-A, at the end of the day, it's just a chicken sandwich place. But like
Mm-hmm.
I would drive from New York to Indiana in between college breaks, and I would stop at Chick-fil-A religiously for lunch. And the reason why is because I'd go through that drive-through and there would be someone there to clean my windshield. They didn't have to do that. But boy, did that speak volumes to me as to like they made me a customer for life because they went out of their way to do something so small that just made my day so much better. As like a poor college kid that didn't have to now go through a car wash on his way from New York to Indiana, and now I can see through my windshield in and this is in the winter. Guys out there in a freaking parka scraping off your windshield, cleaning it off. And I was like, gosh, no one will out care Chick-fil-A.
I mean, what you're talking about right now is exactly the reason we started the podcast. Outside of my main goals for this podcast, student of the game, right? Student of the game, to me, the definition of student of the game is staying curious and picking up clues in other industries. That Chick-fil-A that you stopped at made you a better business owner. Like it
Mm-hmm.
showed you something like, wow. And what I heard you say is, if you're listening, you know how much we talk about relationships. At the end of the day, relationships win. That's our motto. You said one of the fundamentals is relationships, building
Mm-hmm.
relationships. That's one of the keys. I want to go back to the E-myth real quick. So the reason most small businesses fails is because they don't understand how to run a business. And what you're saying, Dustin, is like, if you can get this piece right, if you can get the relationship piece right, so many things will fall into place. Like
Mm-hmm.
so many things will fall into place. And by outserving our competition, by outgiving our competition, you're really not, you're only in competition with how good you can be for other people. Like that's the
Right.
only competition. The biggest competitor I have is when I wake up in the morning if I'm going to have a good day or not. If I'm not going to
Hmm.
have a good day, that's my biggest competitor. When I'm on, watch out. Nobody's stopping me because I'm about serving others. And
Hmm.
that's what you guys are doing. Um, you do so many things. So as a leader now, relationships are critical to your business. And I just talked about where you stood out for me. Okay. And as one of the top agents in our market with a lot of listings and, understanding marketing, understanding things like you push the envelope. And I told you that growing your business, what's something else that's like a fundamental, something that is just critical. It's like a staple of who you guys are.
Um, well, I mean, that's why I think you and I's businesses get along so well is because of our core values of relationships. And, it's through the relationships we built that led to just last week, I got the opportunity to photograph the new mayor of Fort Wayne. It's those little dominoes of people who know people who know people that just introduce you to someone. And so, I mean, I've not ever really done a whole lot of marketing for Art Home Photo. I've not really done any, you know, outreach of sense. It's just been, hey, I've heard great things about you. Can you come take, photos of a house or sit down and grab coffee with me and tell me how I can maybe do better this year than last year? And I love that. That lights me up because we can take great pictures, like I said, but I want to help you succeed because when our clients succeed, we succeed. And at the
How
end of the day, that's what matters the most to me.
I want to before we get into falling in love with practice, I want to talk a little bit about you as a leader and growing your business. How did you get over the point in time when you got big enough that you weren't the only one taking photos, you weren't the only one editing, you weren't the only one, you know, answering the call. Like how did you
Mm,
get over how'd you get over that point of time when you almost had to give up control a little bit to somebody else?
like delegating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which by the way, we'll come back to delegating. Most leaders, I don't think effectively delegate. They don't understand what delegating means. We're going to put a pin in that, but yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a challenge. But so Riley was our first hire. Riley is one of our lead photographers. I hired him at 19. He was working photography for another real estate company. He saw greener pastures at Sweetwater, went to Sweetwater, got sick of working in the warehouse environment there, and had a thirst for being creative again. And someone linked us together, and yeah, he came on, worked for me, and I just remember it was like having a fourth child. Like I was like teaching him something he already knew, but like teaching it to him in a new way. And, also kind of showing him like how credit cards work and getting to like nurture him and love on him. And I was like, that kind of showed me like what kind of team I wanted to build. It wasn't like I just wanted every relationship of an employee owner perspective to be transactional. I wanted it to be someone that I could just love on and be family. And that's when I started to really dive into like the culture of building a team and what that looks like. And so that's really moving into 2024, not to date us, but like that's really what we're working on right now is just what does the culture at Art Home Photo